I'm David Oyelowo, and I play Commander Gordon Adewole. So he is the captain of this expedition to K23, which is a planet that has been identified as a possible planet to be colonized by mankind, as our planet Earth is in dire straits. So we've spent a year getting to K23 and we are on our way back, and I am the commander of a small crew of 5. What I really enjoyed about reading the script in relation to Adewole is the fact that he has owned the fact that he doesn't particularly like life on Earth. He enjoys the solitary nature of being in space. He's had 11 expeditions, all of which have been fairly long ones. And, one of the things that he shares with Sully, the character played by Felicity Jones, is that they have a complicated relationship with Earth and the people they interact with on it, friends, family, people in general. They kind of like this isolation. They're very unique in that way. I think that's what makes them gravitate towards each other. And it was just interesting to play someone very unlike me. I think there's a real mutual respect between Adewole and Sully. She also is a fairly experienced astronaut. George's character, George Clooney, Augustine, is on Earth, and he is one of the brains behind the need for Earth to find a planet to colonize because of just how badly we are treating our planet. I've always admired George because not only of his acting ability, but his directing, his producing. He's a hyphenate in a true sense, and that's something I aspire to do and be. And so, getting to talk to him was just really wonderful, and I loved the script. So there was just nothing about it that was a no for me. It's rare to have the twists be genuine surprises. As someone who watches a lot of movies, has been in a fair few movies, has read a lot of scripts, it's more and more difficult for me to be genuinely surprised by a script. And I gasped at certain points within the script, and I read it in one fell swoop. So, those were indicators that I was reading something special. The great thing with George's approach to this film in particular, it's incredibly restrained. It feels very grounded, but the unbelievability of it is something that we also have to find a way of playing. There's nothing matter of fact about it, but there's also nothing hysterical about it. It's somewhere in the middle. It's sort of this disbelief, and it's not unlike when you look at the news at the moment and you see swathes of the Amazon being burnt to the ground, or the Australian fires, or a volcano that takes out a whole town or whatever. It's you just left in a state of shocked awe. There's no question that we are dealing with something incremental when it comes to what's happening with our planet. So a film like this, where in the 90s maybe would have sort of been seemed like a fantasy, a sort of doomsday movie, it has a completely different poignancy. Carl Chandler is someone who he has a very unique quality. He just feels completely, and I mean this in the best possible sense, dependable. Just a real solid male presence. He sort of has a quality that is, I think, rare in movies and television. Demián I've worked with before, and again, George, I think because he's an actor himself, we've all worked with people who are not particularly pleasant to work with. So if you get to be the captain of the ship, I think you're keeping a very close eye on avoiding those kinds of people. So, he has put together a crew of actors who are just a delight to be around, Demián being absolutely one of those people. Tiffany is a wonderful new energy for me. I didn't know her work before this. She's a younger actress, and she's just wonderful. Has this real unique quality of almost tremulous vulnerability combined with fierce intelligence and strength, which is absolutely what that character needs. She's the novice. She's of the crew. She's the one who, this is her first expedition, and so therefore we sort of have this protective thing over her, and that's not very hard to act around Tiffany. She is someone who engenders that, but also has a kind of innate strength as well. With a film like this, what you would expect, and what I think you often get, is a film that is demanding the actors to have to tolerate a lot of purely technical things when it comes to acting, green screen, blue screen, VFX, all the things that you didn't really get into acting for, even though they've become a huge part of what you do as a movie actor. And George has managed to create a film where space is a big feature of it that doesn't rely as heavily on those things. I think because he himself has done so many space movies, so many movies, period, he's created an environment that is very actor-friendly. My character wasn't called Adewole. He was called Gordon Harper. And, I talked to George about the fact that for me, as a person of Nigerian descent, if we are going to have an international crew, I've never seen Africa truly represented in a film like this. I'm of Nigerian descent. Yes, I'm also British born, but I felt that was something that could be additive to the film, and he changed it. There is nothing more confidence-inducing than working with someone who has the experience but also has the confidence that experience engenders. So when you are having to play the inevitable artifice of being in space, to have your director be someone who has been in one of the best space movies of all time in the form of Gravity, but has also done several other space movies, you just feel completely able to fall back into their arms from a place of trust. We do a lot of spacewalks, or we'd have one major spacewalk, which is a big part of the film. And you're dealing with someone who has done it at the highest level and whose eye you can truly trust. It's been both fun and challenging to do the scenes where we are literally in space suits, because as an actor, a lot of the time what you're trying to do is either draw on your own experience in order to be able to tell the truth of a situation, or having talked to other people who've experienced that. But, in the grand scheme of things, only a handful of people have ever truly experienced space and know what that is and what it feels like. In order to distinguish a film, I think one of the biggest parts of that has to be the production design. And because our film is set in the future, in the near future, but still in the future, the tricky thing is always to make it feel both like the future, but not so futuristic that it's alienating and feels like when you actually get to that future. Because I think ours is 30 years in the future. There's a real chance that people will still be watching this film in 30 years' time. You don't want it to be that film where people go, oh gosh, they got that so wrong. Martin and George have worked together a fair bit, and you can really tell. There's a real shorthand between them. And George has shown me some of the footage now. And it's really, people will just have to trust me and then watch the film. There's a really unique feel to it. It's incredibly lyrical and poetic. In order to simulate being in zero G, we are in harnesses, on ropes. Actually, I had months of training beforehand to really get your core incredibly strong so that you can look like you are floating when actually a lot of pressure is being put on the body because you are basically being held up at your middle, but any kind of bend gives away the fact that there's gravity. So you have to find a way that your body is as straight as possible while your limbs are moving in zero G. And again, one of the great tips George gave, I think it's something he learned on Gravity, is that your body moves slowly, but you can still talk at a normal speed. So that's a real sort of pat your head, rub your stomach exercise. The thing I love about the film is that it's that rare thing. I think Bourne Identity does the same thing, where it's an action movie with a brain. Well, I think if you're a sci-fi buff, this is really going to speak to you because of the ideas, the idea of colonizing another planet. At the core of this film is a really beautiful father-daughter relationship. Language barrier-wise, where that can be challenging, especially, the broad reach that Netflix has, is when you have that many countries, but it is, and yes, it may well be English, but, we know that not everyone in those 190 or however many countries speak English necessarily. And actually, from a dialogue point of view, this is quite sparse. One of the enjoyable sides of this is seeing the actor who plays the young George Clooney. We've had several decades now of watching George and watching him go from a younger actor to a more mature actor, shall we say. And so the young actor who gets to play him in this, who I believe has done a really good job, I think that's going to be quite an enjoyable thing for people to see. We can laugh about it now. It wasn't so funny at the time. Is you're in these harnesses, sometimes your legs go dead. And I the other day, and I think Tiffany Boone had this as well, your legs get so numb, they put you back down on the ground and you can't tell that you're back on the ground. So you just collapse in a heap, which is fun for everyone else but you.